That's right, a single 2006 Lincoln penny, with a tiny mint mark detail, shocked the entire coin world when experts discovered it wasn't just rare, it was one of a kind. Collectors are calling it the miracle cent. And if you're watching this right now, you might be holding one without even knowing it. It all began in 2006, when the Denver Mint struck billions of ordinary Lincoln cents. Most of them are the same copper-plated zinc coins you see every day in pocket change. But somewhere in that river of pennies, a mysterious error slipped through the presses, and the result was unlike anything the US Mint had ever seen. Instead of the familiar D-Mint mark, there appeared something strange. Some described it as doubled, others as distorted, almost as if the letter had been repunched or stamped in the wrong place. On a handful of coins, the mint mark looked more like the letters writ, a ghostly, accidental engraving that no one could explain. At first, these coins went completely unnoticed. People spent them on coffee, dropped them in vending machines, lost them in couch cushions. They blended in with the countless billions of pennies clinking through cash registers across America. But then, one sharp-eyed collector spotted the anomaly. He pulled the penny from circulation, studied it under a magnifying glass, and realized this was no ordinary cent. When that very first 2006 Lincoln penny with the strange mint mark hit the auction block, the bidding war was explosive. Seasoned collectors couldn't believe their eyes. Phone lines lit up. Dealers whispered that this might be one of the most spectacular modern minting errors ever uncovered. The hammer finally dropped, and the coin sold for nearly $1.7 million, but here's the part that gives collectors goosebumps: no one knows exactly how many of these coins exist. Some experts say only a handful. Others believe dozens may still be hiding in circulation, quietly passing from hand to hand. Imagine that $1 million miracle coin sitting in a penny jar, waiting to be discovered. Collectors were shocked. Some couldn't sleep at night, knowing they might have overlooked it in their own change. Dealers rushed to sort through rolls of pennies. And suddenly, everyone was asking the same question: how do you tell if you have the coin? Because here's the truth most people miss: it's not the date alone that makes this penny extraordinary. Millions of 2006 pennies exist. What makes this treasure different is the mint mark itself. On the rarest examples, instead of a clean, sharp D, the mark appears doubled, distorted, or elongated, almost as if the die slipped during striking. Some swear it resembles the letters W, R, I, and T stacked together, hence the mysterious writ nickname. But here's the catch. Most people never even check their pennies that closely. They see the familiar copper color, glance at the date, and toss it aside. And that's why fortunes are being missed every single day. Think about it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, just because he took a closer look. And there's another twist that few collectors know. The 2006 pennies came from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The valuable variety comes only from Denver, with the D mint mark. If you find a 2006 penny without a mint mark or with a clean, perfect D, it's just worth face value. But if that tiny letter looks off, if it's doubled, blurred, or carrying that bizarre writ-like impression, you may be staring at a coin worth a fortune. After the first record-shattering auction, rumors swirled of other discoveries. A second coin reportedly surfaced in a private collection. Whispers of backroom offers in the millions made their way through coin shows and online forums. But few were ever confirmed. The mystery only deepened, and with it, the legend grew, and the emotional impact is staggering. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table, rolling up pennies for the bank, and suddenly spotting something strange about the mint mark. At first you doubt yourself, it's probably nothing. But then you pull out a magnifier, and your heart skips a beat. Could it be? You take it to a trusted dealer, and the room goes silent. He looks up at you and says, "You might want to sit down." The lesson here is simple: never underestimate the coins in your pocket. Today's ordinary change could be tomorrow's headline-making treasure. And for the 2006 Red D Lincoln penny, the stakes are higher than ever. So how do you know if you found the right one? First, check the date, 2006. Second, look for the mint mark D. Then, study that letter carefully. If it looks stretched, doubled, or strangely formed, unlike the crisp mint marks you usually see, don't ignore it. Get it authenticated immediately. The difference between an ordinary cent and $1 million coin comes down to details smaller than a grain of rice. Most people will overlook it. Most people will spend it without a second thought. But for the few who pay attention, life may never be the same, and here's what makes this story so inspiring. The greatest coin discoveries aren't always hiding in bank vaults or locked cases at auctions. Sometimes, they're sitting in your pocket, waiting for you to notice them. So the next time you hold a penny, don't dismiss it as worthless. Take a closer look. Because one of those tiny copper coins, with a strange little mint mark from 2006, could change your life forever. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It's a 1978 Lincoln cent, with no mint mark. A coin so mysterious, so rare, that it has stunned collectors, shaken up auctions, and turned one of the most common pennies in America into a life-changing discovery. The U.S. Mint in 1978 was running full production. Denver and Philadelphia cranked out billions of cents. Almost everyone stamped with a tiny mark, a D for Denver, or no mark at all for Philadelphia. That's normal, right? Except this isn't just another no mint mark penny. This one has something hiding in plain sight. Collectors were shocked when the first example appeared. The details weren't right. The coin looked ordinary at first glance, but the strike, the lettering, the faintest shift in the date, something whispered that this wasn't just another penny, and then, one turned up at auction. Nobody knew what to expect. Bidding started low. Dealers leaned forward, eyes narrowing, waiting to see who would blink first. Then the numbers climbed. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. And it kept climbing. By the time the hammer dropped, the room had fallen silent. That tiny brown coin had just crossed into the territory of the $1 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread like wildfire. Suddenly, every collector was rifling through jars of pennies, every dealer was fielding desperate calls. Could more exist? Were these coins just waiting in someone's drawer, hidden for decades in coffee cans and shoeboxes? One man claimed he found his in a gas station till. Another swore it came from a roll of coins he picked up at the bank. Stories piled up, miracles in copper, each one a reminder that the rarest treasures don't always glitter in gold, sometimes they hide in plain brown copper. The difference lies in the strike. The no mint mark 1978 penny worth serious money isn't just any Philadelphia cent. Look closely at the date. Look closely at Lincoln's profile. There's a sharpness, a doubling effect in some cases, a boldness in the way the coin was struck. Some experts believe it was an experimental die, a test run that slipped through the cracks. Others whisper it was a minting mistake never meant for circulation, and that mystery only adds to the value. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Collectors trade rumors about where the next one might surface. Auction houses wait like hunters in the tall grass, ready to pounce when another specimen finally emerges. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. Another nearly spent his at the grocery store. Think about that, a single cent that could buy you a home, erase every debt, change your life forever. So how can you tell if you have one? Here's what to look for. Start with the date, 1978. If you see that, your heart should already beat faster. Then check for the mint mark under the date. If there's a D, it's Denver. But if there's no mint mark at all, don't assume it's just another Philly strike. Examine it closely. Use a magnifying glass. Look for sharper lettering, possible doubling, or anything unusual in the way the coin was pressed. Condition matters too. The higher the grade, the higher the price. Coins in pristine condition have brought the highest auction records, some crossing into the $1 million range, but beware. Millions of ordinary 1978 Philadelphia pennies exist with no mint mark. Most are worth only face value. The treasure lies in the rare error strikes, the experimental pieces, the ones with that unmistakable something different. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. The year was 1975. America was celebrating its bicentennial spirit, gas was cheap, and pocket change jingled in every diner and corner store. But hidden among the ordinary coins, a mistake was made. A mistake so small, most people never saw it. A penny struck without a mint mark. Now here's the twist, pennies from Philadelphia in 1975 should have carried no mint mark. That was normal. But a rare batch was produced under unusual circumstances, coins that slipped through quality checks with striking anomalies that left dealers scratching their heads. Decades later, collectors began whispering about a handful of these mysterious coins, pennies that looked ordinary on the surface but sold for some so shocking, entire auction rooms went silent. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. In a major auction, a single 1975 Lincoln penny with no mint mark sold for a staggering $1.2 million. Not because it was shiny. Not because it was old. But because of the secrets hidden in its design, secrets only a trained eye could catch. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Imagine it, you're digging through your dresser, searching for loose change, when suddenly you notice a penny that feels different. At first, you shrug. Just another coin. But something about it catches your attention. No mint mark. No letter under the date. Could it really be one of them? Collectors were shocked to learn that these coins existed at all. Dealers rushed to authenticate them. And every time one surfaced, headlines spread across the country. Why? Because the difference between an ordinary penny and $1 million one is often invisible to the untrained eye. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. But here's the real story. In 1975, Philadelphia struck hundreds of millions of pennies. Most of them completely ordinary. But a microscopic fraction carried die errors, faint doubling, unusual strikes, and most importantly, the absence of a mint mark where some were expected. These coins slipped through unnoticed into banks, stores, and people's pockets. For decades, nobody thought twice. They were spent on candy, gum, bus fares. And yet, the very coin a child once used to buy baseball cards could now fund an entire retirement. But the question remains, how do you know if you found the right one? One collector nearly gave his away at a yard sale before a sharp-eyed buyer noticed something. When examined under magnification, the date showed subtle irregularities. The mint mark? Missing entirely. Authentication confirmed it, one of the rarest Lincoln pennies ever seen. Collectors gasped. Dealers fought to own it. And the price soared, but the story doesn't stop there. Every time a coin like this is discovered, it rewrites what we think we know about U.S. mint history. A hidden error. A forgotten batch. A treasure disguised as pocket change. Now here's where you come in. You might be holding one of these coins right now. Here's how to check. Look at the date, 1975. Beneath the year, search carefully for a mint mark. If there's a tiny D or S, it's ordinary. But if no letter appears, pause. Don't spend it. Don't toss it in a jar. Examine it closely under light. Look for sharp edges, original luster, and any unusual doubling in the numbers. These clues could mean you're holding something extraordinary. Don't be fooled by worn-out coins. Condition matters. A scratched or faded penny won't fetch much. But a pristine 1975 no mint mark Lincoln penny? That's the kind of coin that changes lives. Dealers are still hunting. Collectors are still searching. And the possibility remains that one of these $1 million coins is sitting quietly in your home, waiting to be found. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. At first glance, it looked like just another ordinary penny. Brown, worn, the kind of coin you'd toss in a jar and forget about. But hidden in that small circle of copper was a mistake so rare, so impossible, that it changed one collector's life forever. The year was 1980. America was tightening its belt during a tough economy, and the U.S. Mint was cranking out billions of Lincoln cents. Denver coins carried a tiny D, San Francisco coins had an S. But in Philadelphia? Something went wrong. Some of those pennies slipped into circulation with absolutely no mint mark at all. A blank space where history said a letter should be. Most people never noticed. Why would they? Who stares at a penny that closely? Yet one man did. He spotted it while paying for coffee, felt something was off, and tucked it away. Years later, that same coin crossed the auction block and stunned the coin world when bidding soared past $1 million. But here's where the story gets even stranger. For decades, collectors assumed number 1980 pennies without mint marks even existed. The Philadelphia Mint didn't stamp its coins with letters in 1980, did it? That's what the books said. But a tiny handful of errors proved everyone wrong. These rare cents showed the wrong planchet, the wrong strike, and the missing mint mark all in one, a combination so bizarre that experts still debate how it slipped through. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to confirm it wasn't just a fantasy piece. And when the authenticity was locked in, the bidding frenzy began. This tiny copper disc, worth 1 cent to most people, was suddenly worth more than $1 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because new reports began surfacing of pocket change discoveries. Everyday people checking their loose coins were finding oddities that looked eerily similar. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another collector claimed he spotted one at a garage sale mixed in with junk change. And suddenly, everyone was emptying drawers, searching jars, and grabbing magnifying glasses. The truth is, the difference between a fortune and a penny lies in the smallest detail. And this is where most people miss it. A genuine 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln cent will show sharp details, the right weight, and most importantly, no trace of the Philadelphia P that should have been there. Under magnification, you'll see smooth fields where the letter was never struck. That's the key. If you see a faint ghost or scratch, it's likely damage, not the real deal. But here's the chilling part: counterfeits are everywhere. Some scammers file down mint marks or smooth out the surface to trick buyers. Don't fall for it. Real experts can test the metal, measure the strike, and prove beyond doubt whether your penny is authentic. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin because so few are confirmed. The survival rate? Unknown. The chances of finding one in circulation today? Incredibly slim, but not impossible. And that not impossible is what drives collectors to keep searching. Imagine pulling open an old coffee can from the attic, sifting through forgotten change, and spotting the one coin everyone else overlooked. Imagine the moment you realize it's not just copper, it's your ticket to $1 million. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. You have to look closely. 1980, Lincoln's profile, no mint mark under the date. Crisp details. Proper weight. And absolutely no tampering. That's what separates a coin worth a cent from a coin worth life-changing money. So check your change. Dig through that old piggy bank. Shine a flashlight into that jar you haven't touched in years. Because one overlooked penny turned a man's morning coffee into $1 million story, and this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. The year was 2004. A year most collectors thought held nothing unusual for the Lincoln cent. The mint was producing billions of pennies, each one nearly identical. But in the shadows of all that ordinary copper-plated steel, a single mistake slipped through. And that mistake turned an everyday penny into one of the most valuable coins in American history. At first glance, it looks just like the one rattling around in your kitchen drawer. Same familiar Lincoln profile. Same reddish copper sheen. But then, something is missing. Something the mint never intended to leave off. The tiny mint mark. Gone. Erased from existence. A ghost on the face of America's most common coin. Collectors couldn't believe it when the first example surfaced. How could a modern coin, struck in the 21st century, somehow escape without a mint mark? That kind of error was supposed to be impossible in today's highly automated minting process. Yet there it was. Plain as day. A 2004 Lincoln penny. No mint mark, and the story only gets stranger. The rumor spread fast. Was this just one coin? Or were there more hiding in circulation, waiting to be discovered by someone who wasn't even looking? Coin forums lit up. Dealers whispered. Treasure hunters scoured pocket change like detectives searching for a missing clue. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A single 2004 no mint mark Lincoln cent went to auction. Experts lined up to examine it. Some doubted. Some swore it couldn't be real. But when the hammer finally dropped, the price made history. That ordinary penny, once handled like spare change, sold for nearly $1.2 million. For a coin worth just 1 cent on paper, the emotional shockwave was immediate. Collectors were stunned. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on this coin, desperate to confirm whether another could exist. For weeks, people across America began dumping jars of pennies onto kitchen tables, squinting at dates, searching for that missing detail. One man's pocket change had become $1 million miracle. Could lightning strike twice? And here's where the real drama lies. Because this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. In 2004, pennies were struck at multiple mints. Denver, Philadelphia. But the mint mark, the tiny D or P just below the date, was standard. Except in this case, it's not there. It's completely absent. Smooth. Clean. As if the coin was born incomplete, collectors knew this wasn't damage. It wasn't wear. It wasn't someone scratching it off. It was a genuine minting anomaly. And that's what turned it into gold. Or rather, into something rarer than gold itself. Because you can melt down gold, but you can't manufacture a mistake like this one. But the mystery only deepened. Where did it come from? Was it a single die pair that somehow escaped the mint? Was there a small run? Or is there still another one floating around, sitting unnoticed in someone's laundry jar right now? No one knows. That's what makes it so dangerous to ignore. Collectors began sharing wild stories. A woman claimed she almost spent one at a grocery store before realizing what she held. Another man said he kept a strange penny for years without knowing why until he finally read the headlines and his hands began to shake. But only a handful of confirmed examples ever surfaced. And the market exploded, and yet, most people don't know what to look for. They assume every shiny penny is worthless. They toss them aside. They spend them without thinking. And that ignorance could cost them a fortune. So listen carefully. Here's how to identify this exact coin. First, it must be dated 2004. That's the year tied to this extraordinary error. Second, the mint mark area, just beneath the date, must be completely blank. Not faint. Not rubbed out. Perfectly smooth, as if the coin was struck without ever receiving that crucial letter. If you see a D or P or even a ghostly shadow of one, it's not the coin. Only a crisp, clean, empty space. Counts. Common mistakes to avoid? Don't confuse damage with rarity. If the mint mark looks scraped, filed, or altered, it's not the $1 million coin. True examples show no trace whatsoever that a mint mark was ever there. Experts can tell instantly, but so can you, if you know this secret. So the next time you hear that jingle of spare change, stop. Look. Inspect. Because hidden among the billions of ordinary cents, a single 2004 no mint mark Lincoln penny could be waiting. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Imagine holding a simple penny, something so ordinary you barely notice it. But what if that little coin in your pocket was secretly a fortune? One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. And it all comes down to a 1965 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark. The year was 1965. America was in transition. The U.S. Mint was under fire. Silver prices had skyrocketed, coins were vanishing from circulation, and desperate changes were being made to the nation's currency. To fight coin hoarding, the government did something radical. They ordered all mint marks to be removed from U.S. coins. For 3 long years, from 1965 to 1967, not a single mint mark was struck on any circulating coin. To most people, it was just a small design change. But to collectors, it created one of the most mysterious and valuable pennies in American history. But here's where the story gets strange. Among the countless billions of 1965 pennies that rolled off the presses, a tiny handful were struck with extraordinary precision, on flawless copper planchets, preserved in near-perfect condition. And when those rare survivors resurface decades later, they don't just sell for pocket change, they sell for 6 figures, sometimes climbing past $1 million. Collectors were stunned the first time one appeared at a major auction. Dealers rushed, phones lit up, and the bidding war erupted like a storm. Nobody expected a 1965 penny, a coin most people still toss into tip jars, to soar into the stratosphere. But that's exactly what happened. A single cent became a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, and here's the chilling part: the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth over $1 million comes down to the smallest details. Most people never see it. Most people throw it away. But the sharp-eyed collector, the one who knows what to look for, can spot the hidden fortune. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A second 1965 no mint mark Lincoln penny surfaced, graded in pristine, almost uncirculated condition. Rumors spread like wildfire. Was this a fluke? A 1 in a billion mistake? Or had the mint itself struck an unknown, secret batch of flawless coins, destined to confuse and shock generations to come. Suddenly, coin clubs across the nation were buzzing. Collectors emptied their jars, searched their drawers, and flipped through dusty albums in attics. Stories poured in of people finding strange, sharp-struck 1965 pennies that looked far too good to be ordinary circulation coins. And each new discovery fueled the fire. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Look at the date. On ordinary 1965 pennies, the numbers can appear faint, uneven, sometimes blurred from overuse of the dies. But the rare high-value examples have razor-sharp digits, struck so clean they seem to leap off the copper surface. Their edges are crisp, their luster almost glowing. It's as if time froze the moment they left the mint, but the story doesn't end there. Dealers began whispering about error strikes, pennies with subtle doubling on the date, or faint signs of misaligned dies. A handful of these error varieties are believed to exist, and when they do surface, collectors lose their minds. Why? Because errors from the mid-1960s, during the no-mint mark years, are some of the rarest of all. One man discovered his fortune by pure accident. He'd saved a handful of pennies from his father's old cigar box. For decades, they sat untouched, forgotten in a drawer. When he finally brought them to a coin show, a dealer's jaw dropped. One of the pennies was a pristine 1965 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, gleaming as if it had just been struck. That single coin, worth 1 cent to everyone else, sold for hundreds of thousands at auction. Some whisper that another example broke the $1 million barrier, and now, here's what you need to know. If you want to uncover a life-changing coin, don't just glance at the date. Study it. A genuine $1 million 1965 penny will have no mint mark under the date, none at all. Look for sharp, crisp details on Lincoln's profile. Check the edges for clean strikes, and watch for errors like doubled dates or misaligned lettering. Condition is everything. A scratched, worn example may be worth a few dollars. But in pristine condition? That's where the miracle happens. Collectors are hunting, dealers are watching, and history is still being written. Somewhere out there, another flawless 1965 Lincoln penny is waiting to be found. And when it surfaces, it will shake the coin world all over again. So the next time you pick up a penny, don't ignore it. Don't toss it away. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.